Yesterday, I told you that I'm expecting a new BTC dominance high, new all-time high from BTC, and I'm expecting Ethereum and altcoins to catch up and have the situation similar that was happening in 2017. BTC dominance was just surging up like crazy. Everyone was bearish and everything else, and then in a very short amount of time, altcoins catched up. Memecoins at the time, there were not so many catched up, and essentially the whole party just ended. I'm expecting this to at least play out locally currently as well. We'll exactly be talking about this scenario currently. We'll go through BTC dominance. We'll go through what does it mean on the market for the marketplace. We'll go what will be pumping next on the market. What are the memes that you should essentially be looking into currently at this stage? And we'll talk about the main blue chip Memecoin at this stage, the most undervalued. I will try to solve some FUD, handle some objections for you, so you can essentially start making some money in this market, right? And not just waste it on like TikTok man or something. Like it came one day, it disappeared right away. It's crazy. Some people are saying that this is a top signal. We'll talk about top signal as well. I don't think top signal is in until Ethereum is above previous all-time highs. Until Ethereum meme coins are at the crazy market caps as well. Top is definitely not in until that. Let's start. Kicking off with BTC dominance. Yesterday I was showing it around these levels, and I told you that we are probably printing a new high in BTC dominance. Although I did not say that we are probably printing. I told you we are printing new high in BTC dominance. I'm expecting new high in BTC dominance. We touched it here, and here we are seeing a crazy situation happen. We are seeing a crazy drop, and what this thing essentially is connected with the fact that Ethereum finally received certain pumpage. It happened just today, started to pump. Although, to be honest, I do have a very interesting data that I would like to share. I would just throw it out there currently. You'll be able to check it very soon. Like I don't like to give you like some projections that are happening like in 2 months, because you will forget about them, right? It does not make sense to me. I'm telling that Ethereum will start a pumpage on 25th of November. Right here, 25th of November. I will just leave this line right here just to have it on the chart as well. We've seen some nice pumpage. We also have seen some nice reaction from some altcoins, and we are essentially rejecting and correcting here at this stage. Quite default, if you would essentially ask me, we kind of touch this area, which is like, if you can see, this is like this high right here, right? And it's also liquidity area for this movement right here as well. And if you would essentially check out on the daily chart what is happening here, we can see that it's quite a large liquidity area in comparison to the situation that was happening back in March, in April, and in May in terms of the price of Ethereum. And it's also quite a large liquidity area from the previous cycle as well, Ethereum price wise. So it's essentially it's natural to have a reaction from these levels. Although I do believe that Ethereum should start to pick up and should essentially continue. We still receive a lot of FUD that, oh, like there are outflows of Ethereum ETF and nothing is happening. I do believe Ethereum is heavily suppressed, is on purpose heavily suppressed at this stage. Solana is just there to rob you out of your money. Like if you would ask Solana meme coin traders, most of them, they lost money because the way you're making money in meme coins, not like it does not matter on which chain. On Solana, it even true 100 more times, and you're making even more money if you're buying and holding, and if you're telling other people about your meme coins, right? You just look at Mitch. The guy had, I think, $6 million just recently. He bought some retarded at the bottoms in February. He bought some meme coins around that time at the bottoms. He was just shilling them. He was not trading much. The only way he was trading, he was buying into some low caps with his wallet that has millions on it. People knowing it's his wallet, and essentially he has fallen. Probably at the same time buying the same low caps from other wallets. So people buy into the pump, and he's dumping from other wallets as well. And for the whole market, he's essentially just holding. He's a nice guy and things like that. Like this industry is very interesting one, right? In terms of the amount of psyops, in terms of the amount of things that we essentially have here. But this is my overview for the Ethereum at this stage. We already have seen some assets starting to surge up Ethereum wise, which is very interesting. And I would want to focus on one asset out there as well that I would essentially share a bit later to the end of the video. We also started to receive some movement from Ethereum related altcoins, right? This is not a proper chart of Blast. Let's put it on KuCoin. So we had a small week to 90.0093, which already kind of corrected back. If you can see it here, yeah, like we were at the bottoms at 85 and we had our week to 93, right? And we are correcting since then because I believe a lot of people are jumping into leverage currently. And this is actually something I wanted to discuss because I do think that currently jumping into leverage might actually be the nice idea. I would say the better idea it were, like I was checking out these funding rates, I think in the morning or yesterday. Check out the funding rates on BTC, like they're neutral. It's crazy. They're 0.01, which means that essentially either no one is staying on leverage or the amount of longs and shorts is pretty much at the same level because market is uncertain what will actually be happening next. But I do believe that even BTC should essentially be moving a bit higher. We do have the target of $110,000 out there, and I do believe that 100 is a very, very nice psychological target that will probably attract a bunch of retail out there, 100%, right? So in order for us to check out what is the situation with leverage, because I posted it on my Twitter yesterday, it did not get a bunch of views. Well, the situation yesterday was very, very different. That's something that we're seeing currently. It's crazy. Yeah, actually it's quite similar. Just that I was checking out the different time frames. So we had a bunch of short leverage around $95,000 level. Right now you can see that we almost don't have, on the bigger picture, we almost don't have any short leverage at this stage. At the same time, we don't have a lot of long leverage, right? This is the fact of why funding rates are not large at this stage. It means that people are not either longing or shorting because they're generally scared and they generally don't understand what is happening. I think this like a huge disbelief is happening because BTC is surging up, but no one is kind of celebrating because no one has any BTC, and alts are correcting because we've seen like a large correction range of alts out there in the marketplace because people were selling the alts and memecoins and buying into BTC, which definitely BTC dominance showed to us, right? 100%. Like this week up was something that was happening, and currently we're seeing this nice correction on BTC dominance, right? So we are going lower. Obviously the main kind of target for us is to touch this level, and I would say that I will be able to confirm the reversal. I do think that like the market is front running a lot of things currently. The market is very efficient at this stage. It definitely is not the same way as it was at the previous cycle, especially meme coins, because meme coins started to correct. Like here, I would say they already started to correct, maybe even here. So like, do you understand the efficiency of like large meme coin traders? Because obviously things are correcting. It means that whales are doing something. Like things are not correcting because small fish like is performing certain actions out there. In expectation of them understanding that BTC dominance will be printing another high, they started to take profits on their assets in order to reposition and re-enter once the situation will be a bit more clear. This is actually like crazy to think about that and crazy to understand this, right? We got our drop after the BTC dominance right here, and the drop is correcting at these levels currently. I'm not expecting a new BTC all-time high at this stage. I'm not expecting new BTC dominance all-time high at this stage. I do expect a new BTC all-time high, just that I'm thinking that probably this time market won't be that stupid and just sit there and wait on the situation on BTC, because also bottomed. And as I was sharing a couple of months ago, I don't think that the market understands what BTC ETF has actually done. CEO of Godbit, who is probably in jail at this stage, he was saying that if we were not at the presence of the BTC ETF, we would probably be at $20,000 in August and September, right? This thing is at $100,000 at this stage. ALTS, they grew a bit from the levels of August to September. I would say that if not for BTC ETF, we probably would be like maybe at around $35,000 BTC. And what Bitcoin holders have as an option currently, with BTC that is 3 to 4x larger in comparison of BTC as if it would be if we did not have ETF in the first place. Although they essentially might have the thought process that, well, we have the ETF currently, I don't need to do anything, I outperformed a lot of the market because I was holding BTC, I will just continue to do that. On the grand scheme of things, they will probably do well. Short term, I do believe they might essentially be able to reposition themselves and be able to make some money in the process as well. And the issue with these type of charts is because once we would break out here, will probably retest, will probably come back, and at this level, like even before this level, a lot of the assets, they would already be priced out. Like you would already be priced out of a bunch of assets because people are front running these things currently. As soon as the structure will be confirmed and market participants will essentially understand that BTC dominance has a high chance of presenting us with a reversal pattern, you will get priced out for most of the assets. Therefore, like, you kind of need to front run these things, but you don't have to be like very stupid with things. Like, you don't have to go on leverage. You just accumulate on spot, and like sooner or later everything will pump. Sooner or later everything will essentially be all right with the situation with the altcoins, with the situation with BTC dominance as well. It's interesting to check out total 3 as well. So we kind of had the break outage and we kind of were rejected from this level. I do believe it's some kind of important top in comparison to the previous cycle. Let's actually try to see that. Well, we're slightly above this high. We kind of got actually sent back to this level, which is quite interesting. But yeah, like, this thing from my point of view should just continue higher. Like, it, as you can see, it did not catch up with BTC back in March, right? We just set the high right here. Currently, I think it should be catching up. And if we're not printing all-time highs on total 3, which is essentially the capitalization of the altcoins, right? We at least should be reaching previous all-time highs, which will definitely send us higher at this stage, right? 35. Essentially a nice move in comparison, right? And I do believe that most of these capitalization is pushed by the certain type of assets that are moving on the marketplace, but overall, like, I won't say that a range of assets are at the highs in comparison to their lows. So it's interesting to check out the things like Arbitrum and essentially Ethereum layer 2s, just because of the fact that we do expect the next transition to happen to Ethereum. And something I wanted to share is that the fact that we do have the presence of Ethereum ETF, and people like are bearish on it because we have outflows. It does not matter. The presence of Ethereum ETF is the only thing that matters out there, because this is just the channel. These are the gates that are open. You don't need to open them. They are open at this stage. We all have to understand this. Once there is demand, it will go like crazy into Ethereum. This is a very, very important factor. Like, I do believe Ethereum is being suppressed heavily, like right now here. And it does not matter about like transaction fees. It does not matter about technology. It does not matter about layer 2s. When the floodgates will happen, like, it will be receiving crazy amount of liquidity, just because of the fact that there is a way for all this money from ETFs, Wall Street money, that are in BTC currently, to actually push into Ethereum. I do think it's maybe about the awareness at a certain stage as well. Maybe they just don't know about it currently, or maybe they are just playing it more risk averse because they're essentially playing with large amount of capital. And when you're playing with large amount of capital, your goal is not to make, your goal is to sustain, to essentially save your capital in the first place, right? So that's why they're a bit more cautious. But in the more risk-on scenario, I do think Ethereum ETF will just go like crazy. And we're just at the start of this thing. And I have the date of 25th of November. And I do think, like, the beautiful narrative, I know guys, I was saying the same thing about August and September, that we should be pumping in August and September. Range of assets actually pumped in September. Like most of Solana meme coins, they exhausted the upside already in September. But I was saying at the end of summer, I do think that pump after the election is too obvious, just because of the fact that everyone would understand it and everyone would get positioned for this pump, right? And currently, people are expecting Ethereum to start to do well in 2025, for it to finally reverse. I would honestly expect for the main pumpage to happen until the end of this year, because this would be something that will create essentially a large liquidity zone. I do think that the market manipulators out there, they were not essentially focusing on Trump trade much. And as you essentially remember, Trump trade is the surge up of the crypto market from July, right? Somewhere here, we essentially set our low, right? And right here, people understood that Trump chances are quite nice, right? And we're still in July trade. But the issue with the July trade is that we are already like at the low of top area of the July trade, of the Trump trade, right? Because people who are like playing this market perfectly and nicely, they were just accumulating assets here, and right here that like they're already selling. We might go on essentially our liquidity creation zone, because they won't be able to sell large chunks of supplies that they essentially bought here just at these weeks. They definitely need like a large accumulation area, right? And I do have the target of 85k for BTC for us to essentially see correction, and we might just be entering a beautiful accumulation area here. A range area for BTC. It essentially would be just a reaccumulation for another leg up, right? But in this area, this is where these guys, they would be selling the BTC that they bought, essentially understanding the Trump trade, because Trump trade is at the end, as I mentioned, right? But at the same time, here we'd finally have our Altseason in Ethereum, because some of these guys, they will also start to be kind of, they would want to play with other assets on the marketplace. 100% they will be buying into Ethereum, because Ethereum has ETF, which will push a range of assets for our ecosystem that we are holding here. It will push a range of assets out there. And I would expect for the same thing to happen, right? And interesting thing is that with Solana meme coins, they started to pump way sooner than Solana reached almost the levels of the previous all-time high. It was, I think, at like 245, which is very, very close to the all-time high from the previous cycle. And I do expect the same thing to happen with Ethereum as well. If certain Ethereum meme coins like Pepe, they started to push as well. Pepe looks primed at this stage. It actually looks primed to set up a new all-time high, right? But in general, essentially, I do think that we kind of see the same situation on Ethereum that happened on Solana. Meme coins, they start to pump first, and then the main asset follows. And the main asset, the difference in between the main asset Solana and the main asset Ethereum is that on Solana you almost have like nothing. You have like Jupiter, you have some other things, but this is just like tools to help the operate the meme coin money extracting evil hell that is happening on Solana, right? But on Ethereum, you have most of the altcoins, you have most of the layer 2, and the surge up in Ethereum is an underlying asset, which is in the liquidity pool of the range of native Ethereum assets, and the most native Ethereum assets are essentially meme coins on Ethereum, right? And even meme coins on layer 2s, they're not paired to the native token of the layer 2s, they're paired to Ethereum as well, so they essentially benefited from the surge up in Ethereum as well. This Ethereum pump will finally bring our Altseason. Because if you remember like this thing that I was showing quite a while ago, the path to Altseason, first BTC, then we have Ethereum, then we have alts, and then we have microcaps. And this is something that should be happening. And partially it was happening in March when Ethereum was going up to $4,000, right? I would say it mostly was happening with meme coins, but it should be happening. And I would say even in March, I do remember bobo starting to pump somewhere in the middle of February, end of February, and alts, they definitely were a bit delayed in comparison, Ethereum alts, which is quite interesting, which kind of means that we had we're having the same situation currently as we had already. Memes are front running the publish of the main underlying assets, because people who run memes, they are good traders, they understand the market well, and they want to rob people of their liquidity to use their liquidity in the upcoming pump of altcoins. This is something that's happening. This is how they're playing this game. So I hope the overview is clear to you. My projections is that we might be seeing certain correction currently. I do believe that this correction should drop BTC dominance and should attract some liquidity into altcoins. I do believe that Ethereum should start pumping from November 25th, like heavily. And it kind of already started pumping because we're up 10% on a day at this stage. But I do believe it's just the start, right? But November 25th is just the date I like, which will bring our Altseason, and we will essentially experience similar type of run that we had in 2017, when things pumped after BTC topped quickly. Like it was only 2 to 3 weeks, and right after you had to call it end, right? You had to take your profits and leave. I will update you on the situation in the process, and that's why it's very, very important to subscribe, like, and watch each and every video, because it's very important. Like once we would be pumping at that stage, it would be very, very important to understand where you should be taking profits. But I do believe this cycle, the issue of this cycle will essentially be people taking profits too early. And with a range of meme coins, with a range of assets out there, we're already seeing this happening. Like I do believe each and every one of us has a crazy story that, oh, like I bought this thing at the bottom, I had so much supply, but I just sold early. Why? Because you're too fucking smart. Because you have PTSD from the previous cycle as well, right? So something that I obviously want to talk about as blue chip, the only blue chip asset that at the bottoms currently, which is Andy on Blast. This thing is crazy to me. So let me show you some charts right here. I was essentially preparing some charts which are not loading up for some reason at this stage. Yeah, these are the ones. So there is a very, very interesting correlation. I want to share it on my X as well. I do think I will be doing it right after this video as well. So something I essentially wanted to share. What do we have here? On top we have chart of Pepe, in the middle we have chart of Bread on Base, and the bottom we have the chart of Andy Blast in terms of this upper part of the screen and these three charts. Let me actually remove my camera for for quite some time, so you would be able to see the bottom part as well. At the bottom we have the chart of ND Ethereum relation to ND on Blast. If this chart is going up, it means that ND Ethereum is outdoing ND on Blast. It means that it's essentially more profitable to have your money in ND Ethereum. If the chart is going down, it means that ND on Blast is outdoing ND Ethereum. It means that it's more profitable to have your money in ND Blast at this stage, right? So what we've seen here is that on November 1st, like, first of all, we see that there was a heavy correlation present between ND on Blast, Bread, and Pepe for all this time. All these highs, if you can see, we printed this high, we printed this high on Pepe and Bread, we printed this high on ND on Blast as well. Moving further, we have this high on Pepe, this high on Bread, this high on ND on Blast as well. Moving further, we have this low on Pepe, we have this low on Bread, we have this low on ND on Blast as well. Moving further as well, we have this high on Pepe, this high on Bread, and similar type of high on ND on Blast as well. And here as well, we have this high, we have this high, we have this high, and moving further, we have this low on Pepe, we have this low on Bread, and we have this low on ND on Blast. Until 1st of November, there was a clear correlation between these assets. Since the 1st of November, correlation stopped for some reason on ND on Blast, and I will tell you why. And I will explain like whether or not you should actually be thinking, or like maybe it's that nothing is happening, Blast is probably dead, it's dead ecosystem, nothing is happening. Guys, first of all, I want to handle some FUD, handle some objections, so you can actually make some money on this market, because usually money are not being made heavily in the ecosystems where there is a bunch of volume already, right? Or on the assets where there is a bunch of volume already. Only people who are making a bunch of money on these assets. Traders might make some money, but I would say that overall, mostly they're losing money, right? And devs who are ragging and essentially attracting you to buy based on volume, they are the ones who are also making money on the assets, right? People who are really making money in this industry, they're buying something when something is dead, right? And then they're selling when there is volume. They're in the business of selling green candles. They're not in the business of buying them, right? Remember Base. And I told you about Base 2 weeks ago, I think, when I was doing a video about Coin 6900. I told you that Base is considered dead currently and Base season is starting next week. And at that week, the next week from my video, Base ecosystem season actually started. It was 100% perfect call, right? And people that were able to capitalize through the time when basic system was actually considered dead, they are the ones who were essentially making most money. And I told you that just based on the charts as well, because I've seen accumulation happening on the charts as well. I can definitely say that I'm seeing accumulation happening on this chart of ND on Blast as well. We are holding the current levels at this stage. And we're actually up. We're actually up from $3.9 million market cap to $4.7 million market cap. And some of you might say that, well, it's not like a large move, it's nothing and things like that. It's actually 17% move. So if it would be like $100 million asset, it will be jump from 100 million to 117 million. It heavily decreases how the entry point essentially is appealing to you eventually, right? Because it's a huge difference if you're buying at a $4 million market cap and if you're buying at the $5 billion market cap. Obviously, at the grand scheme of things, the further we go, the worse essentially the entry point will be. But I do think that most people on this market, they essentially love to buy into green candles. They can't hold. That's why they're also not making a lot of money on the marketplace, right? So on my Twitter, I think on this day as well, which is around 5 to 6 days ago, I called the top of the pair and I told that essentially this is the top of the pair. We should be reversing from here. This is exactly something that happened. Unfortunately, at this stage, it's happening from the fact that ND on Ethereum is just dumping, right? So I kind of called the top for ND on Ethereum. ND on Blast, it went up a little bit, but I'm expecting outperformance of this pair from the market cap of ND on Blast going higher. And personally, I do connect the fact that these charts stopped the correlation. So we do have we do have November right here, and 1st of November we do have, well, it's exactly, so from the time, I think this line is actually wrong. So from the time that these pairs started to outperform, Andy on Blast actually lost the correlation with Brett and Pepe. It's very important. Why? Because Andy on ETH, because of the reason it was surging higher and surging up, it was sucking out the liquidity from Andy on Blast. But currently, people understand. We are in a very, very PvP setup of the market. People understand there is no upside left. There is much more upside currently in Andy on Blast than in comparison to Andy on Ethereum. Even some things on Base at this stage, they don't have the same upside because they're not at the bottoms currently. If you would compare the art, if you would compare things that are happening around the projects, from my point of view, and I think from the point of view of naked eye out there, quality of Andy on Blast is way higher than quality of all of the other assets out there. And Andy on Blast is essentially the first asset there. And again, I do believe this is one of the very, very small amount of blue chip assets. It's not even at the breakout which is on currently. So it's not even here, because here it would already be like maybe like $10 million market cap, 20, 15, right? Is exactly at the bottom at this stage. This is where essentially would want to buy and just hold. And this is how you outperform on this market, just buying and just holding. I hope this chart actually makes sense to you. I explained why the correlation, you can see it vividly on the chart. The correlation stopped because of the fact that Andy on ETH started heavily outperform as a pair, sucking liquidity and essentially persuading people that, yeah, like this is the right one, it's going higher, and all the good stuff out there. Right now, upside is limited. Right now, we can definitely see that the pair should be topping short term, although I do believe we actually might be entering certain range right here and just trade within this range at this stage. But it actually might mean that they will just go higher together, right? And Andy on Blast will be finally catching up, because if we're trading in the range, it means that they're essentially staying at the same levels, right? And it means that just Andy on ETH is essentially going higher with Andy on Blast. This is one overview that I'm seeing with this thing. Obviously, I do think that essentially lower cap assets should start to outperform larger cap asset, because Blast is essentially, Blast by itself, the token by itself, is the most undervalued layer 2 on Ethereum currently. Ethereum did 10% move. We've seen the move from Blast. Like, I showed you this on purpose. I didn't show it to you just for lulz. This is one chart. So right here, I did not show this to you just for lulz. We essentially were at these bottoms, right? 87 now. We were at these bottoms. And at 85. Ethereum did 8% move, and Blast by itself did 8% move essentially as well, right? So it's correlating with ETH 100% at this stage, but it is the lowest cap market cap layer 2 at this stage, which means that it should be multiplying the most, because you have like things like Arbitrum, you have things like others on the marketplace, they are in like billions of market cap at this stage, right? This thing should be moving, but even without this thing, because you also might have this objection that, oh, like the asset of the ecosystem, of the main ecosystem is not moving, and that's why like this meme coin won't be moving as well. Oh yeah, look at Solana. More Solana memes already pumped and exhausted the upside, at Solana being in the range of $120 and $150. Traders and people in the marketplace, they are front running the surge up in the underlying assets of the ecosystem. Range of Ethereum meme coins, they already pumped from the bottoms. Yet Ethereum is not like even, it's like it's still in the accumulation range, in the summer accumulation range in this stage. It didn't break out yet, right? Pepe is like at $10 billion market cap. I'm not talking about other assets out there. I do believe this is something that is worth front running at this stage, and I do believe it's a very, very nice opportunity right there, because there is a very low amount of assets. We actually touched 5 million. There is a very low amount of assets that are still in this accumulation, that are still at these levels. And this chart, from my point of view, should be reversing from here. It should be going higher, 100%. There is just no upside left in comparison to this type of memes, to this type of narrative out there. You can kind of still like, at least you can see that we start to consolidate sideways. Like, we're not going down anymore as it was here, which means that you're buying at the bottoms, which means that like we had huge sell-offs. Like this sell-off was one of the earliest whale just exiting the position completely. Like with a very, very high chance he will be under, with a very, very high chance he would actually be making more money in comparison if he would just held Andy, right? Because I know that oftentimes when you're selling your long-term bets, you're doing it to jump into something new. Maybe he jumped into like TikTok meta and essentially lost everything already. I'm not sure, right? But this is the opportunity. This is the thing here that I wanted to share with you at this stage. Again, there is a very, very low amount of assets, and this thing correlates with Ethereum as well. It was pumping currently. It was pumping today with the surge up of Ethereum. And I would say this is one of the most performing blue chip Ethereum assets currently with a correlation of Ethereum at this stage. It's interesting that a lot of things they front ran already, and this thing, it did not front run. This thing essentially follows daddy Ethereum dot at this stage, because it was kind of like it's a late child because it was pumping later in the cycle, and this is something I do think that would be happening. I want to be ending up this video with a small joke. This is a watch list from one of the guys from the group of Andy Wales. He's sharing it and he's essentially joking, haha, the bottom is in, because everything is correcting and Andy is moving higher. This was something that was happening yesterday, even before the pumpage of Ethereum. The reason this was happening is because the same way as in July, we were pumping later, and we are confirming it here as well. And other very, very important thing is that bottom is in. When things like this are happening, bottom is usually in, which means that if you're buying currently, there is very, very low downside to your capital at this stage. Like everyone who wanted to sell with these giant early whales exiting, like it was just not one guy, because in the previous pumps we also had crazy sell-offs with giant whales exiting as well. There were several guys as well. Everyone who wanted to sell sold already. And especially with the whole FUD that is present around Blast ecosystem currently, the same thing was happening about Base months ago. What is happening currently? I told you that End and Blast will start pumping closer to the end of the upside on the base season. I think we are very, very close to the end of the upside of the base season. Understand the formulation of the sentence here. End of the upside. Assets, they might move higher, 100%, but your upside is very limited in comparison to this thing. And currently is actually the time to be buying in proper communities with crazy holders out there. Let me bring my camera back because I don't understand. I'm talking, I'm doing these hand gestures and I'm talking to a camera without having my camera on. So craziness of this community. Just one picture shared, nothing there. This is actually something that I discussed already. One of the things that was shared is FUD about Blast, that TVL is very, very low at this stage, everything is low, nothing is happening. The same thing was happening with Base a month ago. Upside is exhausted, Blast should be picking up. And there is a bunch of narratives that should be happening in the ecosystem as well. We should have the TG season with a bunch of TGs in the Blast ecosystem. We should have the launch of Blast Mobile, and we actually had discussed this with the End and Blast team as well. They said that essentially they project that Blast team, they just want to use and want to light up the meme season on chain once they would have a bit more there to sustain the users that will essentially come into the ecosystem within the meme season, right? Because you can kind of only launch meme season once. Also, although I would say like it's a very, very arguable take, because like in Tron case and in case of Sui, like there are definitely multiple times you can be launching meme season on chain, then kind of bringing the liquidity back into the chain as well, 100%. But until these things would be happening, in expectations of these things would be happening, these assets, they will be appreciating in value and in market cap already, and you won't be getting your entry point in comparison of you essentially getting it currently. And like you might say like I'm pushing this too much. I'm just sharing my thoughts here. Like it's up to you. I don't want like you to buy in. I have my confidence out there. I would just be holding. I know that this thing should be in billions over time. I know that Blast is the best layer 2 at this stage on the marketplace. I know it will be dominating this cycle as well. I know that Pac-Man is the main character of this cycle. I know that market is just not seeing this. It's fine. The fact that market is not seeing this gives me the option to enter the assets chip. If market was seeing this, there would be no upside left. This is how I'm essentially positioning myself on the marketplace. Just look at these comments as well. Just look at this community. There are essentially a bunch of like accounts with profile pictures, sharing like and the memes. They're all like very, very high quality. Some of them, they are not even like from the developer himself. Like, just look at this shit. It's crazy. Like, it's custom made, bull from Wall Street. Like, I want to lick my screen, literally. It's crazy. So yeah, it's very, very healthy at this stage. And like, if it would be Solana, just imagine this. If it would be Solana with this type of community, imagine like the influencers you're watching, like your Solana TG guys calling stuff. Imagine like how high they would appreciate this type of community and this type of art for the project. Imagine what would be happening in comparison. And you're just fading it because of Blast, because it has some FUD. FUD means it's the bottom. FUD means there is no other options to go lower from here. So again, even if we're not talking about the end on Blast, we've seen certain correction about like cultish meme coins out there. I do think that they're still the ones that will be long-term be appreciating in value. I do think I gave you like a crazy AI peak in a couple of days, like a couple of days ago. I'm just checking more content from this AI peak and like I can't stop but thinking like how large this industry actually is, how much more eyes can be focused on this thing. But yeah, we will talk about this next time. So this is my overview about the market. Hope it makes sense. I know like certain stages it was a bit more complex with charts and stuff, but it's important to understand these things because other people understand these things, and then they essentially taking money from you if they understand these things. But the way you can even win professionals here in this market is essentially by just buying and holding, by buying and holding blue chip assets with nice charts. And that's it. Because traders will come once they will see the confirmations, once they will see that we are breaking out to $5.7 million market cap. It will essentially show them that we'll probably go higher. Then we will go to $10 million and it will essentially show to them that we'll probably go higher, and they will take their swing trade. They will take their like 5, 10, 15K to go into other meme and to spend here 24/7, and you just buy and you make your millions just by doing nothing. That's the choice that everyone is making, right? And holders are often, I would say always, outperforming traders out there. And we had the part of the market where holders heavily outperform traders. Traders get wrecked heavily. I would say currently, like short term, we're in the market with traders, although I do believe there is not enough volume happening on different assets, and there is a bunch of rugs currently because ruggy influencers, they understood that people made some money and they want to take this money as fast as they can. Whilst people still have money, but it's also the issue of liquidity, because once we have enough liquidity in the space, I would think this would be happening less and less. But we are very, very soon to enter another period of huge outperformance of holders above traders, right? And then we'll see what will be happening. Anyway, I will be updating you on this channel in time manner. I was quite right with BTC market predictions in the last couple of months. I think one of the most precise market predictions BTC wise. And I'm sharing just some memecoin alpha from time to time as well. So guys, thank you very much for watching this video. Stay healthy and rich, and I would want to see you tomorrow. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.